tonight, title of message is the Samson Moment. Cool, so I'm going to read from Judges 16:15 to 17. It says, then she said to him, how can you say, I love you, when your heart is not with me? You have mocked me these 3 times and have not told me where your great strength lies. And it came to pass when she pestered him daily with her words and pressed him so that his soul was vexed to death, that he told her all his heart and said to her, no razor has ever come upon my head, for I have been a Nazarite to God from my mother's womb. If I am shaven, then my strength will leave me, and I shall become weak and be like any other man.
Come on.
You know, pretty much everyone knows the story of Samson and Delilah. How there's this great man of God, and he sees this woman. Not a good woman. Good-looking woman, but evil woman. There's a few of those around here. Hey. But it's funny how people read that and they start judging Samson, right? Like, oh my gosh, you're a man of God. All the strength that God gave you, and you gave it up for that woman, right? Some people judge him for that. But I'm going to say, there's this definition that I wrote down for what is a Samson moment. Can I have that up? Because I wrote it on there differently than I wrote it on paper. Kia ora, Mikey.
Oh, massive.
The moment where you make a decision which changes your life for the worst. Where a moment you think is minuscule, but it's the defining factor of your life.
Wow.
You know, we have Samson moments in our personal lives.
That's right.
Whether we know it or not. Who has ever had a Samson moment?
Come on now. Yeah.
Read that meaning, because everyone's hand should be up. Hey, don't like me.
Come on now.
Hey, but you know, like, we are called for great things, like he was. Greater things, even.
Come on.
Yet there are moments in our life where we give up just that little bit without even knowing sometimes. That we go into our seasons, we go into our circumstances, and we just sit there without knowing that as we sit there, we're doing nothing with the call of God upon our lives. And if you've got a call of God upon your life and you're doing nothing about it, it's dying away. And it's breaking away, meaning that if you're not helping it grow, it's never going to grow.
Come on. That's right.
Because God will give you a call upon your life, everyone has one. But what you do with that calling is up to you. And it's those Samson moments will be the decision whether you go forward with it or you sit still. Amen?
Right. Come on.
You know, Samson was a man of God. He performed miraculous things with his strength. He had a strength that no man or creature could even compare to, yet he was just like Adam and Eve. Meaning this, there was one commandment he got given that he broke. Adam and Eve had one commandment which they broke. Who knows what Samson's commandment was? I just read it out. Do not cut your hair. Do not put a razor on your hair. And he gave up his strength for this one woman. But it was at that defining moment that changed his destiny.
Yeah.
That changed what his earthly body would end up doing. Because we all have earthly bodies and there's things that God has called us to. Sometimes we do the wrong things, it will not work anymore. Like if you go to the gym, oh, it's going to work. And we stop going to the gym, you're just eating takeaways. Like me, you'll lose what you once had.
Hey.
So if you go to the gym, stop eating takeaways. Hey. Like Hagen told me the other night, it's 70% exercise, 30% exercise, 70% what you eat. That is true, because I walk as my job and I don't see any difference. Hey. Just what you eat. Hey. But anyway, so here's my first question. How often do you allow your hair to be cut? I'm not saying this because I just cut my hair. You might think that, no, I cut it myself, you might be like, oh, that's crooked. Well, obviously, I've only got 2 eyes and not a neck on my head. So, if it's a bit crooked, it's all good because I cut it myself and it was free. That's the one. But how often in your walk with God do you allow yourself to get to a place without even knowing the enemy is cutting back that heel, that strength that God has given you?
Come on. Yeah.
Through the things that you take part in this world. What do I mean? Just like Samson having a woman that was never called to be in his life became his wife. We do things in this world that pull us away from the calling of God over our lives. For example, you used to drink alcohol all the time before, and then you have your auntie's 70th birthday, and your whole family drinks. You're like, oh, I'm strong now because I've been sober 5 years, so you go. If you're a recovering alcoholic, no matter how far away you're drinking, if you go there, more often than not, you're going to go back into alcohol. Why? Because your family like, just have one drink. You haven't had a drink for 5 years, just one drink, it'll be fine. Then one drink leads on to 2, leads on to 3, leads on to 4, and next thing you know what, you've walked away from God because you feel ashamed. Although there's no condemnation in Christ, we get condemned because we knew we shouldn't have gone there in the first place, so we walk away. When you play a fire, you're going to get burned.
Yeah,
hey?
That's right.
And one of the other ones that I hear a lot of times is I'm going to my mates. He asks who it is. And I say it's a she. You're like, they go, nothing's going to happen. Wow, let me tell you something. I know things happen. Hey, things will happen if you go to your mate's house just because you want to have a sleepover.
Yes.
It's going to happen. You might be like, no, I'm strong, you know. Nothing's ever happened to me, I'm fine.
Wrong.
Delilah's going to come your way and be like, what happened in my life? Let me tell you, because you didn't listen to Pastor Gary. He said, do not go to the king's house. He says it. He said it to me. He says it to me. Don't go there. Okay. Lucky I listen in.
Come on now.
But you know, we all have weaknesses in our lives that we don't realize never actually go away. We think that because God has given us strength to overcome these addictions, it will never come back. We think because God has given us the strength to go through the season, that the season will never harm us in the future. Let me tell you, God never chucks your addictions away. He never chucks those weaknesses away. He gives you strength to go through it. Meaning that's going to happen again and again and again. And if your strength is not in Christ, you're going to have no strength.
Yeah.
Because it's the strength that God gave you that got you over in the first place. And if your strength is not in God anymore, you're not going to go through it anymore.
That's right. Good word.
And you think that, oh, you know, God saved me from, He saved me from pornography, He saved me from addiction, He saved me from all this sort of stuff. Just as long as I fast forward those scenes, it's okay. Let me tell you, it's not okay. Because one little look into your past change your future. Lot's wife, for example, she looked at the past.
Yeah.
Running away, she got turned to a pillar of salt. One look into her past and it changed her life forever. Ended it.
Yeah. That's right.
Samson's one commandment, he spoke and ended his life there. As a man of God. Right then and there. I'm going to share a bit later about what happened in the end with Samson. But unless you're continually in God, that strength won't always be there. You'll fall into temptation and that's that. You'll stay there. Because let me tell you, the enemy is real.
Yeah.
And he comes to rob, kill, and destroy. And he's going to do that with your temptation because you think, sometimes we think as Christians, the devil is just going to throw it at us head on. He's not. Little by little, he's going to put something into your life and you're not going to realize it until it's too late. Like Samson. He fell in love with the wrong woman, got infatuated with the wrong woman, and what you know, a little while after, he gets his hair cut off. The one commandment he got given. You know, like, what is trying to destroy you? Is it your friends? Is it what you allow into your life? Movies, games, music? I was watching this program that a lot of people said it's awesome. A lot of Christians have said it's amazing. It's called Greenleaf. It's on Netflix. And I was watching it, and it seems like an amazing story, this great Christian story. And it's about this daughter who was a great preacher. She preached words from the heart of God and just changed her city. She fell away from God, she moved away. Her sister committed suicide, she came back. And so she moved back in with her family. Her dad was the main pastor, her brother was a pastor, and all her family were high up there in the church. Now watching it, and then all of a sudden sex scenes started happening. And all of a sudden, all these things, the music director turns gay, and all these things start twisting the show, and I'm just like, wow. All these people that say it's an amazing show, they see that. Oh, I'm just going to fast forward this one scene. You let 1 second of that into your eye, it's gone. Yeah. Let me say that from experience. If you see stuff like that, you're going to fall back into your temptation that you were before. You'll fall back into your addictions before. And you think, oh, as long as I fast forward or cover my eyes, it's fine. They have such a great vision for that show, yet it has these extra things that's going to make you stumble. If anything makes you stumble, stay away. Because there's one story in the program, like, I just want to find out what happens. And the more that I watched it, the more I was like, I can't justify why I'm watching this. And as Christians, we need to realize that we cannot justify what we're doing just because we want to know a different side of the story. Because we want to know this other person, so I want to walk through this path, even though there's things here that God doesn't want me to see or do. I'm still going to walk through there because I want to see the end. I went through 3 episodes, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Because it skewed the whole Christianity. It's like every person in that family were twisted in their views of God. The pastor, he was hungry for money. The son, he was committing adultery with another woman. And the youth director was turning gay, like I said, and the girl that ran away fell from God, she was the most righteous of them. And it's like, how can someone lukewarm be more righteous than those in church? And it's like, we think it's okay because it's a good watch. Let me tell you, if there's things you're watching and it's like, you know it's not good for your spirit. Even though there's a good story in there, don't go there.
That's
Because
right.
it will pull you down. Like for me, I love movies. I love entertainment. And I know for myself, if I allow myself to go and watch those things, I'm always going to fall away.
That's right.
If you know your weakness and you know your Samson moment, you need to declare it and walk away. Because like with Samson, he got his head cut and he fell away. We think because we're strong. Look, Samson was the strongest person in the Bible, physically. He fell away. Why? Because of that one defining moment, that Samson moment. You know, like, can you see your Samson moment before it's too late? When you play with your weaknesses, obviously something's going to happen. Samson played with his weaknesses. He played with what God said not to do, and something terrible happened. And you think it's not going to affect you. You know, when I was writing this down, I thought of the boiling frog parable. Has anybody seen a frog being boiled?
No.
They're alive when they're boiled. But the thing about the frog parable is this, that if the heat is too high and it's boiling water, they'll jump right out. But if you cook them slowly, they'll think they're just sitting in water. And over time they start cooking and not realizing that they're cooked. It's like us Christians. We play with our weaknesses and we play with what we know we should be doing so much that we don't realize how much we're becoming a disaster in ourselves.
That's right.
And we just sit there and we're like, no, I'm fine because I'm still going to church. I'm fine because I'm still preaching. I'm fine because I'm singing the worship team. I'm fine. And little do we know that our spirit is getting, chipped away. And that wall and that guard that we once had, that God built for us, is chipping away. Why? Because we're sitting in our weakness. We're sitting in that moment that God took us away from.
Yeah.
And the pot's boiling and it's boiling. We don't even realize it.
Yeah.
I've had those moments many times. Many times. I'm fine. People ask me, "Hey, I'm fine. I'm all good. I'm doing great at work. I'm doing great at church. Everything's fine." But underneath it all, I was doing not stupid things, but just not the things I know I should be doing. Being in my word, being in prayer. When I'm at church, actually loving it. Because, I just had work yesterday. I got work tomorrow at 7 o'clock. And then sometimes it's just like, even that thinking will change the way that you go through your walk.
Yeah, come on.
Because with the walk, like a lot of preachers say, Pastor Ben, Pastor Gary, and Mikey, everyone, they always say that the walk that you do with God is narrow. It says it in the Bible. It's narrow.
Yeah.
So if there's any way where you start walking to the side, already you're going to fall off.
Yeah.
Watching that one show will make you fall off.
Yeah.
Oh, there's just a bit of sex in there, that's okay. There's just a little bit of nudity, that's okay. That's not okay. As Christians, we need to be just valiant, and we need to be upstanding and know what we're doing is right. Amen?
Come on.
And I want to close soon. But it's funny, like I said, through experience, I know this. Through experience, I know that I can feel comfortable where I am, yet not be where God wants me to be. And it's not disheartening at the time, but when you actually get over it, get into where God is, it's disheartening because you realize what you were doing. You were preaching, yet you were doing something else over here. You were leading, yet you weren't leading at work. You're on fire for God here in the house, but at home you're not. You just want to be alone. You just want to do nothing. And it's disheartening because if you were alone with God, if you were pursuing God more often, you'll be further than we are now. I know for me, like when I stuffed up a few years ago, I'm like, wow. And then, these people that came in after me and they got further than me, and I can't blame anybody else but myself because of what I was doing. And we can get so comfortable in church, we're like, oh, I'll just do this, and then I'll get a pay rise, I'll get a promotion, and we think just doing it's going to do it. And as God sees your heart, Pastor Gary sees your heart, other people see your heart, and that's when you get a promotion. That's when you're just like, I want you to lead this. Because they see your heart, not because you turn up just doing whatever you're doing, but because you turn up wanting to be there.
Yeah.
Come on.
Pastor Gary sees you and he's like, yeah, you don't want to be here.
Yeah.
Why do you want to be a pastor if you don't even want to be in church? Oh, because, it's the title. Being a pastor is hard work.
That's right.
You're teaching people, you're leading people, you're visiting people's houses, you're visiting them when they're sick, when they're dying. And then these people that want to be a pastor, but they don't want to see people. In reality, you're not going to go anywhere if you don't want to see people, because in church, in our walk with Christ, it's all about people.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
You can't come to church and be like, yeah, I'm a Christian, and go home and not want to worry about anybody else. You're going to go nowhere. Jesus, when he came down, was all about people.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the reason Jesus came wasn't just to set us free and get us saved, but to be a reflection of what we should be.
Come on now.
Because obviously, the main vision was for God to save us. But he always taught people, and in the way he done it, he expects us to do. When Greenleaf comes on, he's not saying, oh, watch it and fast forward those scenes. No. Don't watch it. I got through 3 episodes and I couldn't watch anymore because I'm just like, there's nothing good about this program. And the acting sucked, alright? So if you want to watch it, it sucks. And don't watch it, even if you want to watch it. I'll pass you every day. But in closing, the amazing thing about Samson and the story is, even though he couldn't see, he saw how wrong he was. You know, they plucked out his eyes and they made him into a slave. He saw how wrong he was and he came back to God. In our seasons and in our circumstances and our problems and addictions, all we have to do is turn back to God. Repent.
Yeah.
Samson repented and he just said, God, just take me. And he did. After he done one thing. I won't say it because it's controversial. So I won't do that in the closing part. But what Samson done at the end was he turned his heart back to God.
Yeah, come on.
And as people of God, in our Samson moments, there's still moments after that moment to come back to God.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
That we might sit there and we get condemned because we're in that Samson moment right now and we think we can't do this because I'm not worthy. None of us are really worthy, in all honesty. But God was like, I want them saved. Not because we are worthy, but God just loves us so much that he made us worthy. Not by our acts, not by our thoughts or our minds, but just because Jesus loved us so much.
Awesome.
And I don't know where you are in your walk with God tonight. You could be high up there, you could be the lowest of the lows, you could be having a fake smile on your face, being like, yeah, I'm happy. But in the midst of it all, you're in that Samson moment right now. I hate those moments. Because in those moments is where I don't know where I'm going with my life. Because I want to be a Christian, but I'm doing these things that I know is going to affect my walk. It's never a place to be in, because when you're in that place, you're confused. And when you're confused, you're not going straight. You're walking everywhere else but straight. And I want to pray. Because it's important to pray, amen?
Amen.
I want you to understand. And I'll do a few call outs. It's amazing.